All right, so this is your system project example that we did in class. So if you missed us going over it on Tuesday, or you quite couldn't understand what was going on, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over the example, and what's going to happen is things to keep in mind. This project is worth a test grade, so there will be no makeup project for this project. That is key information. So make sure that you're asking questions throughout this example, and stop and email us if you're rewatching the video, or ask during class the next day, anything like that, to make sure that you understand what's going on for the project. We will not help you with the project. We will guide you in a way to help you understand or refer back to this example page, but we are not helping you on this project. This is a you project, not an us project. So let's get started. This example is going to be about airlines. So Mr. and Mrs. Poole want to go to Alaska for Christmas. They both did some research on airlines, and here's what they found. So Mr. Poole said that American Airlines tickets are $225, and they're going to charge you $5 per snack, because you got to snack on the airplane, especially since it's a 12-hour flight at least. And Mrs. Poole, myself, said I wanted to go with Delta because the airline tickets are $100 and they charge us $10 per snack. So I think that's a better deal to go with. So what we're going to do now is, for our example, we're going to write an equation for both of the airlines. So we need to have an equation before we can graph. All right, so we'll use American as blue since their airlines are blue. Why not? So remember, to write an equation, it's y equals mx plus b. So I know from the American, the plane ticket is $225 and then $5 per snack. So I know that the $5 is going to be my slope, or my m, and the $225 is going to be my y-intercept, because that's how much it costs once to buy a ticket. So now I'm going to do the same thing with Delta. How much is it going to cost me per snack? $10, and my airline ticket is $100. All right, so we're going to graph both of the equations. Obviously, I have to label my x and y axis, so I'm going to do number of snacks. And we're going to count by fives since my x's are counting by fives. So I have 5. And remember, you can take a screenshot of your graph and do it that way and just write all over it and then paste it in your notes. It's completely up to you. But continue going and fill out the rest of your x-axis. So now that your x-axis is labeled for your snacks, remember x is horizontal, y is vertical, what we're going to do is we're going to start filling out the table and see what we can label these by. I would suggest that we're going to count by 25s. So since I know that we don't start until about 100, what I'm going to do is show you real quick in order to make it jump, because if I start counting 25s, I'm only going to get to about 200, and I need a little bit higher than 200. So what we're going to do is down here, what we're going to do is draw this little like fancy type of little asterisk. We're going to draw this, and then above it, we're going to put 100. This little symbol right here says from 0 to 100, these are all those numbers. They're not important, but I need to at least start there. So now I can actually label my axis 125 and start counting up there by 25s. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw your little asterisk, and you're going to count all the way as far as you can, all the way to the top. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that you've labeled your axis, your y-axis, we're also going to label it cost per dollars, because that's how much money it's going to be. So let's look over here in our American Delta category. Oops. So what's going to happen now is we're going to take our pen, and what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these x's and plug it in to where the x is, just like what we've been doing. So 5 times 5 plus 225. So 5 and 5 is 25 plus 225 is going to give me 250. Okay. And then if I plug in 10 now, so 5 times 10 plus 225, that's going to give me 50 plus 225, which is going to be what? 275, right? So if I just keep going, what's going to happen here is we're just going to keep increasing, and eventually we're going to get all the way down here to 30. So what I want for you to do is to keep going, fill out the rest of these for just American. All right, so now I have all of my American Airlines points. So now what I need to do is delta. So I'm going to do the same thing, except now I'm going to plug the 5 into my 10. So I have 10 times 5 plus 100. So that would be 50 plus 100 would be 150. And then if I do 10 times 10, which is 100 plus 100 would be 200. And then again, if I did 10 times, sorry, not 50, 15, what would I get? 150 plus 100, which would be 250. So keep going with this pattern and figure out the rest. So now I've completed both of the equations graphs. So now what I'm going to do is graph it. So I'm going to graph the American first. We're going to go to 5 snacks and all the way up to 250 and put a dot. So here, let me zoom in for you. So at 5, we're going to be at 250. Okay. And then 10, we have 275. Perfect. And then at 15, we have 300. So as you can see, it's increasing by 25 each time that I get a snack. So what I can do from here is, if I don't know my original points, I gotta start with my y-intercept. Always start with your y-intercept graphing at first. So since I know what the pattern is going to be, I'm just going to continue on, and it looks like I'm going to go up 25 and over 5. Because remember, these are counting by, the y-axis is counting by 25s, and, my y-axis is counting by 25s, and my x-axis is counting by 5s. So basically, I'm going up 1 over 1, all the way to the edge of my graph. And this is what you'll be doing when you are graphing your own. You're going to go all the way to the edge of the graph. I don't want to see you stop halfway through and just draw a line because, that's what you think you're supposed to do. No, continue on to the edge of the graph. That's key importance, because you'll be able to see where the other lines are going to hit or anything like that. So I'm going to draw my line using a straight edge. Now for your project, your lines do have to be straight. They can't just be half. So make sure you have a ruler if you're doing it on paper, and taking a picture of it, or make sure you're actually drawing straight lines with the snipping tool. So there's my American. I can actually label it if I wanted to, so I'll label it now. And if it so happens that my delta graph runs through it, that's okay. I'll just rename it. So my delta graph, we start at $100 because that's where it says my cost of my ticket is. So I'm going to start on the y-axis at 100. And at 5 snacks, I have to pay $150. And so at my 5 snacks, I'm going to go up to 150. At 10 snacks, I'm going to owe 200. At 15 snacks, it says 225. Oops, sorry, it's a little low. Or sorry, 250, my bad. So 250 is 15 snacks. And then at 20 snacks, I'm going to owe $300. And at 25, I'm going to owe $350. and then it's going to continue on. Do you see a pattern here starting up here? I go up 50 and over 5, so from that point on, I'm just going to keep going up 2 into the left one, essentially. So I'm going to go all the way to the edge. Again, remember, keep in mind, we want perfect little dots. We don't want it hanging off to the side. So keep going, keep graphing, all the way to the edge of your graph. Woohoo! Take your ruler, line it up. Make sure you line it up with the y-intercept. That's key importantes. And there we go. And there's my second graph. And I'm going to label this one delta. You don't have to label your graphs, but if you are using only one marker, definitely label them. Okay, so we need to help us out, give us some insight. When should we fly American and when should we fly Delta? Keep in mind, it might be cheaper to fly, right? So American, it's pretty expensive, more than Delta up until at least what point? 25 snacks. After that, it's a lot cheaper. So you should say they should fly American if they are purchasing more than 25 snacks, because it'll be cheaper. And then for Delta, what would be for Delta? Well, we should fly Delta until I get to the 25 snack mark. So instead of they should fly American, we're going to say they should fly Delta if they are purchasing less than 25 snacks, because it'll be cheaper. All right, let's look at our next part here. So of course we want to look at all of our options and what our friends have done. So we asked Mrs. Stiles and she said, this is what she said: stop being silly, you're going to Alaska. Take their airlines. Their airline tickets are $300 and they only charge you $2 per snack. So now we're going to create an equation for Mrs. Stiles. We'll use green with what American Airlines is. So it's $300 for my ticket and $2 per snack. So my slope is 2 and my $300 is where I'm going to start. So let's fill out the table. If you take 2 times 5, you're going to get 10 plus 300, which would be 310. And then you're taking 10 times 2 plus 300 would be 320. So fill out the rest of this this table, and then we'll graph it. All right, so here's what you should have gotten for your table. So now we're going to graph it. Remember, we start with the y-intercept, which is at 300. Holy cow. 300. That's pretty darn expensive for a airline ticket, but that's okay. So we're going to graph all of the ones that we can. So 310, we can't really tell where it is. It's probably about somewhere here. 330, we can't really tell. 340, we can't really tell. Oh, at 25, we can definitely tell. That hits 350. So on my x-axis, I'm going to go to 25, and I'm going to go all the way up to 350. And put a dot. As you can see, the difference between these is 1 up 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you continue that on, it should look like this. All right, your graph should look like this for Alaskan. All right, so let's look at real quick which of these airlines should they go with, which one is the cheapest after how many snacks. So altogether, we honestly should be going if we aren't purchasing any snacks at all, we should definitely be going with Delta, but if we are, we should go with Alaskan because it's a lot cheaper. answer that last question on your own. How many snacks would they have to purchase? Obviously, it's going to be 25 for all of them to be the same.